Good afternoon and welcome to Dr. Khanna's Returning Youth Show, where we talk about the issues that are involving the post-incarcerated young adults of America. We work to help them to produce a productive life. So we are live here today to over 30 million homes on WPAT 9:30 a.m. We are here every Friday for your enjoyment between 3 and 4 Eastern Time and streaming live across all of the Returning Youth social media pages. Dr. Khanna launched this Post-Incarcerated Juvenile Justice Reform Act initiative, which is known as Returning Youth. And his initiative provides post-incarcerated young adults with medical and psychological assistance, housing, career training, and mentorship to greatly improve their lives and give them a new self-sustaining life to move forward with. I'm your host, Sharon Miller, and please welcome my co-host, the man behind the scenes of Returning Youth Initiative, Ryan Fagan. And later on in the show, we'll have our special guest, Ashley Butt, who is one of the marketing individuals within the Returning Youth program. Today, our topic of conversation is going to be on the post-incarceration mental health issues that they deal with when being released from prison. So, but Ryan, I think you have a few things you want to talk about to start the show off today.
Yes, thanks, Sharon. It's good to be with you today and all of our listeners. I want to, first of all, just send everybody out our thoughts and prayers and with after the weather events that we had last week out in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, and all of here, the flooding, the freakish weather pattern. I actually, a Midwestern boy myself, was actually out there in the midst of all of that last week, so I sympathize. Unfortunately, those are unpredictable weather patterns and weather things, and I hope everyone is doing well and safe, and that the rebuild process for each of you is well underway in a positive manner. And just know that we're thinking of you, and we are doing whatever we can to assist. So, but we want you to know that we are aware, and we are thinking of all of all of our listeners, all of you folks up in that New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area that were impacted severely with the weather event of last week, as well as the folks in New Orleans and everywhere else along the way as well that got the initial brunt of it. But it's since our radio show is going out here in New York, I wanted to start off by focusing on that. So because Dr. Khanna's initiative focuses on serving the needs of the post-incarcerated folks. We are actually, what we really are doing is helping to build the communities. We want to, help everyone in the community, post-incarcerated or not. And so, just know that we're thinking of you. We're praying for you and hoping that all goes well and the rebuild goes smoothly as possible. So, but thank you, Sharon, for giving me the chance to address that. You raised a really good point in your intro today, and we've spent a lot of time the last several weeks talking about the initiative entrepreneur program, the career development, and the exciting things that are going on with some of the businesses that we've been opening up, and that. But I think you hit on a very important point that's often overlooked, and that's the mental health struggles that our post-incarcerated folks face when they come out. And that's something that, I didn't, when I first got involved in this, I was aware of many of the other struggles, but I didn't really recognize the severity of some of the mental health problems. A lot of folks have mental health issues going in, either diagnosed or undiagnosed, and those do not get proper treatment when they're incarcerated. They come out with a lot of despair in addition to everything else. And I think it's, and that's one of the things that I really like about what Dr. Khanna's initiative is doing, the Returning Youth Initiative, is, we do, as we've talked about in the past, we provide, we start the process with a case manager, someone that's going to help them get psychological evaluation, psychological analysis to make sure that all of their mental health needs are met. And that's a very, in order to move forward in the healing process and the restoring your life process, you must, make an assessment of where this individual is. And that's a very powerful aspect, because many times these folks are coming out of prison, out of this incarceration period, they're lost. They don't know what to expect. They haven't been able to get the treatment. They're feeling abandoned. They're feeling lost, isolated. And knowing that you've got someone, a professional, as well as peer mentors and other aspects to help you, seeing that this is an area that the struggles that this individual is going through, others have gone through as well, and helping them build overcome those roadblocks, giving them the stepping stones necessary, saying, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to help you get there. We're going to help you find that peace within yourself to move forward. And that's a huge aspect with this, as we talked about,
And I know, like, I've mentioned, I think, a few times on the show, but now that we're addressing this specifically today, one of the young gentlemen that's in one of our Home of Hopes, when we were out there taking a tour, he had his dresser turned up against his bed, and his bed was kind of back in a corner to start with. And I made some kind of comment about, are you trying to block the light? And he said, no. He said, it's just something you learn to do when you're in prison to protect yourself. And I can't get past that. And, you don't think about that solitary confinement, that institutional life that they live in, and then how that carries into their, real everyday life when they come out, and how long it takes them to work through that and get past that point of not having those, things that they've had to do and while they've been in prison, to get to the point that they can move on with their life and feel, that freedom. And even, the one lady that, we've helped to open a business up, she made the comment that she struggled to go to the grocery store and be in with a lot of people, because you spend so much time in that solitary confinement issue that, going to the grocery store was a real struggle for her. And so, there's just, besides the mental aspect of what they may have gone in with and what they're still bringing to carry, coming out, just for even those people who didn't have issues when they went in, that being away from the everyday society, those struggles are real for these people.
Absolutely. And I think you've told a story of meeting with an individual before, and you asked him, our question of, what are your dreams? And he says, our dreams, when I was in prison, was to walk through the gates, and then it was to go to McDonald's and order as many cheeseburgers as I can. And those type of things that, the whole, your whole worldview is altered. And, and it's one of those things that I, as we're sitting here talking about this, as you were talking about, being in groups and being, having a different environment when you get out. Anyone that knows me well knows, my worldview is I tend to link up things in song lyrics or movie references, and I can't help to go to the classic movie Shawshank Redemption.
Oh,
and
movie.
At the end of that movie, when character Red gets released from prison after being there for 5 decades. And he's working in a grocery store, and he keeps asking his boss if he can go to the restroom, if he can do. And his boss is like, you don't have to ask me that. He says, I've spent 50 years of my life needing permission for everything. And that aspect of things is what, is so overwhelming, I think, with a lot of these folks, as they come in, they have no control. And when you're in, you have very, very little control when you're incarcerated.
Yeah.
You come out, and now you're faced with, you have to make decisions on everything. What are you going to wear today? What, you're going to take a shower or not take a shower? You're going to, what are you going to go, you're going to go to work. What kind of work are you going to do? All of these things. What are you going to eat for breakfast? Those are decisions that when you're, when you're not in an environment,
it's overwhelming.
Exactly. But we always joke about, when you're going out with a group of people, where do you want to go for dinner? I don't know. They have, this is not something that folks have had to think about. Is you're going into the mess, you're going down to the cafeteria, you're going to get what they serve you, and you're going to go and and you're going to crumble, and you're going to go out, and those types of things of just but it goes much beyond that, obviously. But I think those are the things of when you come in and you've got underlying issues, you've got trust issues, you've got fear for your safety, you've got just this lack of control of who you are and your identity and everything about it. And then you're all of a sudden forced into 21st century society. You're forced forced into what we're dealing with. And and that's a struggle. And I know a lot of folks are, really, that's a difficult aspect, that because they've dealt with trauma. We've all, trauma is a very powerful, debilitating emotion, feeling, or event, I guess. And it's one thing to address. Okay, you're loved, you're comforted, you're this, you're that. There's still, as you talked about, the gentleman with the bookcase, and the dresser. That feeling of needing false. You have to build up some sort of security and safety, for personal safety, and that those
the anxiety issues, the depression issues. I mean, that's I think one of the biggest things that most people look at and they say, oh, somebody's post-incarcerated. Okay, well, they're just going to go commit another crime and they're going to go back to prison. Some of them do honestly do that because it's their security. They don't know anything different. And for the ones that can't handle it, the suicide rate is phenomenal among post-incarcerated, especially that young adult age that we deal with, because you've got kids who are going into prison at 15 years old, getting a 15-year sentence or a 10-year sentence, and they're coming out of prison at 25. They start in a juvenile system. They got flushed into an adult prison system because they aged out. And so they went from one situation to another. They've never had a chance to grow up. They come out now and they're supposed to be an adult and they're expected to get a job, and they barely have an education and they don't have anything around them to support them. And the emotions that they go through are just unbelievable. I mean, the gentleman you were talking about that he just wanted to go to McDonald's. I mean, his dream was to go to McDonald's, get a burger, fries, and a drink, sit in the corner booth and look out the window and just be in public and see the world go by him.
Right.
And you think about, I mean, we just take that for granted, and you think what his life was. I mean, he spent 13 years in prison, having gone into prison when he was 14 years old. He didn't really know anything else he wanted to have a dream about at that point in time, because all he knew at 14 was he loved McDonald's, and he just craved McDonald's for 14 years. I mean, that's what he said. I craved McDonald's for 14 years. I just wanted to go to McDonald's and feel like a human being again.
And
no expectations beyond that.
Right. And that's the aspect of, where our Returning Youth Initiative is we, having a case manager involved from the very beginning. We go to where that individual is. It's one thing to come in and say, okay, we're going to get you a job, we're going to get you this and that. And there's a lot of organizations that do very good work. I'm not denigrating anybody with any other organization, but they do very good work. But what their focus is meeting the necessary requirements to get a person a job, housing, and along that way, provide for them, allow them to provide for food and nourishment, those type of things. What we are doing is going beyond that. Is we're restoring their humanity. We're giving them the ability to be part of society, to feel like they belong, not just thrust them into it, but feel like they belong in society again. They are welcomed into society, and that's the thing, is when that case manager works with them, meets them, talks to them about where they are. Where are they psychologically? Where are they educationally? Where are they on the health skill? Where are they with? Obviously, there's a lot of resentment in a lot of folks. There's a lot of anger, frustration, humiliation. There's shame. There's all kinds of emotions running through. We have to weed through that. Put them in the hands of dedicated professionals to help them navigate that terrain, to get them back to the point where they can be what they want. They can be part of society. They can be have a not just a job, but building a career, building a life for themselves, providing for their families, providing a legacy for their children, their grandchildren, and going forward. And that's the thing, is letting them understand, because most of the time, if you can get someone through the hell that is prison, and they can come out of that, and you can help them navigate through that, deal with those emotions, those feelings. Some of that's not ever going to go away. It's how you make the decisions. It's how you deal with those feelings, and helping them with that decision making, processing, anger management, those type of things, so that they don't slip up, so they don't, they understand the role that their behavior plays into this, and what they can control. They can't control what somebody else is saying about them, but they can control how they react. And then once we do that, then we can work with society and say, okay, now society, wake up. And that's the bigger challenge. But
yeah. And I think one of the greatest things that people need to understand about your organization is this is a 2-year program. So individuals who come into your community centers, or into your safe haven community centers, or into your home of hopes, they're not somebody who is just going through the motions to get them through their 6 months or 12 months, their reentry that they're required to do to be able to move out of the place and move on. We're there to hold their hand for a process of 2 years, providing they want to stay in the program. So I think, learning that aspect about what your organization does is just phenomenal, because you don't give up on people. And the goal is, honestly, for those people to become peer mentors of the people who are coming behind them, so they have somebody that's been in their shoes and been successful. And there is so much to be said for that. And because of that, we've met some great people. I've met some great people through your organization. I can't even imagine the amount of people you've met, that we have that you've seen. I mean, the one individual who's actually going to be on the show in a few weeks. I mean, he has gone out, got a CDL license. He bought his first car. I mean, he's turned his life around. He's in the process right now of just continuing to grow and flourish and just be this amazing young adult that, had, was in kind of really in his position. He was kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time and got involved in something he shouldn't have gotten involved in. And, it ultimately ruined his life. He was, in the process of getting ready to leave to go to college, and just ruined his life. But he's come out and he's turned his life around. And
it's funny that you mentioned him, Sharon, because I just had the opportunity to speak with him this morning. I was
awesome. He's just and
awesome. I was and that's a great thing, is you do. I am so blessed in the role that I have with this organization, is that I do get to meet some outstanding and amazing people, very inspirational. And that's what, this young man, that I'm not going to say his name until we've got it finalized. He's going to be on the show. We got all that stuff, but he's just an amazing, inspirational individual, to see the things that he has done, that he's overcome, and the way that he has articulated to me over, the months that I've known him, the struggles. And and as I told him today, I said, it's, I understood from my legal background, and, I understood many of the, some at a surface level, I'll say, the struggles that these folks are coming out of prison that they face. But he helped me to understand the anguish when he described to me standing in the courtroom, watching his mother cry as he's being led off after being sentenced. That's heart-wrenching for me as a father and as a human. And I can only imagine the effect that had on him and his family, and just to see that. And then when after he served his term, was released, coming back and having his family welcoming him back in to that, and just there, I've had the opportunity to meet with members of his family as well, and the anguish and, them never giving up hope, never giving up on him. And that, he's very fortunate in that regard. And he recognizes that his family he had that family support network. Yeah. Many of these folks do not have that, unfortunately.
I remember watching the video that you did interviewing his sister when she said she lost her best friend.
Yeah.
And she was just lost while he was in prison because she had lost her best friend, and she struggled. So I mean, the mental aspect of it, not only is it touching, you know, that the person directly, it absolutely filters out through their friends, through their family, you know. I mean, his sister said, you know, she cried all the time. She missed her best friend. She struggled enormously. I mean, I don't even remember what she all said on the video. I mean, you were the one interviewing her, but I mean.
No, but and that's the thing is we focus a lot on the individuals that we encounter, the post-incarcerated folks, and we see their struggles, and you know we talk often about one of the aspects they have is that when they return from prison, they come back. Oftentimes they come back to the same communities that they were in before. That either gives you you're coming back, you're in the same environment that caused you to get into trouble the first time, or the other end of that is you come back into a community that knows you with that record. They know the news reports that were in there about you, and those struggles. And then as we see that, but we don't see the younger sister, the younger brother that's going to high school, and everybody's talking about, oh my gosh, what his brother did. Did you hear about this? The gossip, the talking on everywhere. And that aspect for the families is just brutal. And that's not just their peers. That's teachers. That's the people at the grocery store, everybody. And that's something we as a society need to address as well.
Her daughter was arrested 3 times. And the 3rd time when she got out of prison, they sent her away to a different state to live with family because they said, we cannot bring her back here or she's going to be right back in the situation she was in. And in fact, last weekend, she got married.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. And yeah, and it is many times it's, because they don't, either they come back into the environment, they're still around their friends, they're still around that same group of people. I use the term friend loosely in that regard. You're running around the same people that you always have been, or you come back and you're facing, as I said, facing that obstacle of this is who you are. The society, the town that you live in, the community says, well, he's nothing but this thug. He's nothing but, and that's a word I hate, but he's nothing but that whatever crime.
Yeah.
And no matter how much hope, how much optimism you and I and our, and Dr. Khanna's initiative and all of that, how much we can put into, someone and teach them and let them realize about themselves, they're still hearing it from everybody else. And that's the thing is there's that constant barrage. And it's, it is, again, I'm not sitting back saying that these folks are whatever. They're people that made mistakes. They're people that got caught. They did their time, and they have changed their, they have made the efforts to not repeat those mistakes. Let's give them a chance. How many times, as I always say, there's a lot of things that people that have been serving time for that I probably did when I was a teenager, when I was in college. A lot of dumb things that you do, I happened to do it when there wasn't a police officer around, or I did it and no one got hurt. There wasn't an accident. There wasn't anything else that brought in the right place. I was at,
hey, I did the wrong thing in the right
situation.
Like, we tried everything.
Yeah. And that's the thing is sometimes it's, there's any number of things we could spend weeks talking about all the different contributing factors as to why I didn't go, and someone else did, or whatever. But it's, the fact is folks that went away, a lot of them, not, again, I don't know statistics. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not but the ones that we deal with in our initiative, they're folks that want to make a difference. They want to, they have changed their lives, and they're trying to get reinforcements into that. They're willing to they recognize that the decisions they made in the past weren't the best, and they want to make better choices. And we want to help them along the way. And that's part of what we do. Is that, our initiative is something that one has to apply to. They have to apply to be part of it. We want to make sure that the folks that are part of our initiative, part of our organization, that are doing, that we are helping, that these are people that really want to be helped, not just folks that are doing it so they can get out of prison early, or they can get whatever, so that mom and dad are happy with them, or their parole officer's happy. This is someone that to their core wants to be a business person. They want to build a legacy. They want to advance. And that's who we're looking for. That's the folks, and there's more of them than we are able to help right now. And that's why we're constantly on here every week talking about needing volunteers, needing donations, needing anyone that wants to help in any way. There are so many people that want to, and the more the word gets out, the more people that contact them, and we find out about them. This continues to grow, and that's a wonderful thing, but it's a troubling thing, because you realize how many people are in such desperate need of assistance.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that, recently I had the opportunity to tour a post-incarceration reentry facility, and it was a very unique facility, one like I've never been in before. And it's set up almost like you see the military bunkers. And I asked the individual, I said, why this way? I said, why not a house, or why not separate bedrooms that, 1 or 2 or 3 people share? And he said, they spent their whole past years of their life being in a prison cell, and we're not going to do that to them again. And he said, and they need to learn to be freely able to walk around, carry on conversations, build camaraderie among themselves. And so, they have rooms that they have about 24 beds in a room, and they've got their own little locked cabinets to store their stuff in, and they got a place to call home, put trinkets up, whatever it is, make it their own space, for the time that they're there, and realize that they're not confined by 4 walls any longer.
Yeah.
And I thought that was one of the most unique things that I had ever experienced. And after having been with some of the individuals in our Home of Hope that we've talked to, and other individuals that are post-incarcerated that we've talked to, it was such a novel concept that they have created. So it looks like our timing's good. Ashley is joining us. So we'll give her a second here to pop in.
Okay, that's great. So no, Sure, what you're talking about is wonderful, and that's the beauty of what we are able, what we can do is part of how we operate is with that case management role, is being able to find out what are the needs of the individual person. And some folks need to have their own space. Some need to have that comfort of the communal aspect. They need, and we work with organizations across the country trying to find out what works, what they've had success with, because everybody's different. Every situation is unique, and it's great that we, and that's what we're looking at. And as we set up more and more of our home of hope and our safe haven locations, is utilizing the expertise of others in the areas, and seeing, doing different aspects of the structure, to make sure that we can provide the needs of the people. So, but I guess Ashley is with us now.
She is. She's just not on video right now.
Oh, okay.
So, Ashley, can you hear us? Or maybe not.
I can. Can you hear me?
Now we can. Now we can. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for.
If I can get on here.
There she is. Hello, Ashley. Thanks for joining us today. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm enjoying the beautiful weather we're having today. So I'm hoping that our friends in New York and in the area are having the same, nice weather that I'm experiencing here.
A little bit better there now.
Yes, I hope so than it was last week. So Ashley, you've been doing a lot of great work doing the marketing and social media posting and that for Dr. Khanna's Returning Youth Initiative, and I appreciate what you're doing with that, helping get the word out. But one of the, as we're talking about, Sharon said, we're talking about today the mental health aspect of the post-incarcerated individual. Yeah. And I know you've done a lot of research looking into that and done some posts on that. What are some of the struggles that you see that some of these folks are dealing with?
As far as mental health, I think the biggest ones are they come out with anxiety, depression, and just the sense of not feeling like they belong anywhere. You know, I think that they come from generationally of, you know, family member after family member, you know, maybe being involved in the justice system. So I think that all of that sets in and just kind of sets them up for failure once released, which is why I think the initiative is so important for them to be able to come in and really just get involved with us so we can help them.
Absolutely. We'll break that cycle, that generational cycle, as you said, and prepare them and set them up as that role model for the future, for their children and those in the community, so that they don't see that. So
yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. And what, I guess, we've talked about, I know you've talked about the anxiety and the depression. Another aspect of it, I think that people I wasn't aware that there was a diagnosis for, because I'm, not a medical or a mental health professional, but that there's such a thing as post-incarceration syndrome, similar to the post-traumatic stress disorder that we hear for our military heroes coming back. But there's a very similar type of thing. What kind of struggles do folks have with that? Are you aware of any with that? Or have you talked to anybody about that or seen anything about those struggles?
Just the research that I've done, that is just, and I think that incorporates everything, you know, that life after that people, you know, they see the struggles and the challenges. I think, you know, it encompasses everything. It encompasses the depression and, but you can actually put a diagnosis on it, which I think is important for people to know, because it is real and it is something that can be addressed medically.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, you guys have a mental health specialist that, you know, is on your team that, you know, works in that arena specifically.
Absolutely, and that's the area that, as I said, gets overlooked to you know, and that's the start. That's really the starting point for this, because it's actually, as you said so well, is they come out and they feel they're lost. They don't have any. They're in a society that's completely foreign to them. They're in a world that's completely foreign to them, and now they, you know, as Sharon and I've been talking about, you know, earlier, is they're in a situation where their decisions were made for them when they were in prison, and now they have to make those decisions. And
I think a lot of people,
that adjustment is difficult.
I think a lot of people want the help. I don't think that they necessarily choose to go back into the system, if you will, but I think that they don't see any other options. And I think that's what's great about the initiative, is that there are other options, whether that's the career building and training or the entrepreneurship or the mentorship part of it. So I just think that's super important, that they know that we're going to give them their voice and help them wherever their dreams may take them. We want to be able to be that platform.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is, you know, I've heard, as I talk to people and go around and travel around and you know, shake people's hands, meet with mayors and whoever else, and they look at me and go, you can't do what you're saying you're doing. And I said, not only can we are, but what it is, it's not what we're doing, it's what we're enabling and empowering the post-incarcerated individuals to become, to be. Let that, you know, it's, you know, I'm just a cog in the machine at this point. We allow them, we provide them the resources that are there. We provide them with that guidance to unleash who they are and what their passion is, build that back up and let them, and as Angelica and I talked about last week, if someone can, if they go to prison for selling marijuana, they can sell. We just got to convert that skill into something that is workable on the outside, that's workable in our society. And it's just showing them that there's another path. There's a better path. There's a path that allows them to create generational change for their families and their communities. And that, and that's it. It's just we're a conduit for them to explode. And that's what's, and that's the thing that's so powerful is, Dr. Khanna's initiative is doing, amazing things because we're empowering folks to become amazing people.
Yeah,
That's what it's about.
Success stories with Marvel Vision. I mean, we're actually putting it into place, and I think that's so important for them to be, the number one, and just we can learn from this one and just show everyone that it is something that's attainable. You can put your hands on it and touch it and feel it and grab it, and it's out there, and we're ready to help whoever wants to come our way.
I mean, just like the gentleman in Montana the other week where, he was hours away from doing something that was going to send him back to prison.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And because that's what he knew. He knew with that, he had a bed, he had a roof over his head, and he was going to get food. And that is a human being that is left struggling to find those necessities. And, and that's and again, there's people that are, I hear people, there are people that are, veterans that didn't commit crimes. Absolutely. And that's unfortunate. But what we want to focus on is those people that are, we can't, unfortunately, we're not in a position to be able to solve every problem for every person on the planet right now. But what we're doing is we focus on this, as Dr. Khanna discovered, the laws are there to provide something overarching, but there's no real guidance for any of the states to do anything, and there's no accountability for the states as to what they're going to do to help this population of people. And so Dr. Khanna's initiative stepping in, providing an avenue for these folks to integrate back in. We can provide what the legal system, what the laws have not been able to figure out a way to do yet, because they're trying to deal with it bureaucratically, where we're trying to deal with it on an individualized basis. We have the ability, being a private enterprise, being a not-for-profit organization, we have the ability to look at an individual and provide what that individual needs, instead of having to write up a guidebook and say, if you're this person, you have to check this box. And that's the biggest thing is, we see this in this area that's been it's been on the books since 1974, but it's still here. It's still, the problem still exists, and we still need to address that. But we're making we're making progress. Every story we can tell about Marvel Vision Center or places like that, our safe haven community centers that are opening up. Every person that walks in the door there, we can have a positive impact. Every person that walks down the street and sees the sign, we want to have a positive impact. Let them know, hey, you may not need us right now, but if you ever do, we're here. And that's what it's about.
I always think of those people too that just, commit that one crime that might not be, your huge crimes, but that one mistake that they made will define them for years to come.
Oh, yeah.
Or it'll break them down so far that they don't have any faith left in themselves, and maybe family have not been able to support them any longer. So I think it's so important just for them, for everyone, but specifically those two, just to know that we can help you, whether if you have a felony on your record and it's a hard time finding a job, those are the people we can help, and why it's so important that we're trying to get the name out and the word out about what we do.
And I think it's wonderful when we all started. Well, when I got involved with this, so it's not we all started because Dr. Khanna's been doing this before I came along. But when I got involved, Dr. Khanna sat down with me and he says, "This is what we want to do. What should we call it?" And I said, "Well, I'm sitting here interviewing folks, and I'm seeing their lives spiraling. I'm seeing them going without any place, and everything's speeding past them." And what we want to give them is a safe haven that they can stop, take a breath, and relax.
And feel accepted.
And feel accepted. And just look around and say, gain perspective as to where I am. Not where everybody tells me I need to be, not where everybody tells me I was, but where am I? Where do I want to go, and how can I get there? And so I said, we need it. I said, it needs to be a safe haven. And he says, that's brilliant. That's the name. And that's how that was born. It's just a place. It's just a place where you can come, be welcomed where you are, as who you are. And then we'll help you find the path to where you want to go. And it's a simple sounding statement for me to sit here and talk. It's very simple, right? And it's simple. You're just going to put them on a path. If it was, it would have been done by now. But unfortunately,
the recidivism rate in our country.
Yes, we wouldn't have these folks sitting here with 70% of them going back to prison within 5 years. And so clearly, what's been happening in the past hasn't served this community. It served somebody, but it hasn't served this community. And what we're trying to do is these folks, let them come in and say, we're here. Why don't you come in? We will, no judgments, no judgments. We don't, if you want to be here, we want you here. And then how can we get you to the point where over the course of the next 2 years, if it needs 2 years, if it needs longer, call me. We'll work at it. But we want to get you to the point where you don't need that. You can take that out to other people. It's always there for you. Once you're in, you're in. Once you're part of our organization, I hope that people want to be part of it. If they're 2 years they're 2 years being in the program as a participant, they've gone through, they've gotten everything that they need. They have their career, they have their entrepreneurial program, they have their business, they have their future planned out. They can come back in and be a mentor. They can teach others. They can show other people the path. They can hire post-incarcerated folks. This is something that's I always hear it, and Sharon, I always hear it from you as well. That passion. We have to be driven by that passion, and we want to instill that passion in everyone that we encounter. Is I get, that's the two reactions I get from people is, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's got to be overwhelming. And I think, and the other part of it is there's no way you can do that. And both are true. It's amazing. And there's no way that I, as an individual, can do that, which is why we need, that's why we have an amazing team, and we have, an amazing need for additional folks to help. But that need's always there. And we're going to, and it's always there. It's all, but we can find a use. So we want everyone to feel welcome.
Absolutely.
I think the number is astonishing sometimes when you look at it. You think 60% of the people in prison have been, and you look back and think, where are we going wrong in our society that we have such a continued turnaround? And then when you start learning about what the post-incarceration world is and the lack of support as a whole in a major holistic way is missing.
Mm-hmm.
It's daunting. It says something about like our country in a whole is the fact that we're not out there trying to help and as Dr. Khanna said, there's such a voiceless group of people. And it's, I mean, really true. The more I learn about what you guys do and the effects that prison has on these individuals, the more you realize just how voiceless they really are out there in society. And especially like we've talked today, on the mental health aspect of things, it's really unbelievable.
It is, and it is, because there's so many aspects to these struggles that these folks are having, and as you said, there's that isolation from family, that watching, some of them don't have family, some of them don't have, they don't have a strong family network that they can rely on. So, but those that do, that's as I've been told that's as much of a trauma for them as anything else, when they know that their children are growing up without them being around. They're not witnessing these milestones in their family's lives. And then they're coming back in, and to them it's been distration. They're coming back in, and their children, they're strangers to their children. And this leads them to dissociative disorders and types of things that they have trouble building that back up. The children can't trust, they can't trust the system. They have trust issues with people. Their children, have difficulty understanding why mom or dad wasn't here for this period of time, and why they're back, and are they going to be here when I come home from school today? Is daddy going to be here? Because he's not been. And those struggles and those weigh on people. That's got to be an incredible thing that leads to, in a lot of folks, coping mechanisms. We need to help them deal with, develop better coping mechanisms. Substance abuse, in whatever form, is not, that's not a solution. And too many people, that's what they know. That's where they go. They get back into those, and that leads again to, might lead them to make poor decisions and get right back into the pattern of what they were in. And so, all of these struggles that these folks are dealing with, it is, so it's important, to provide, as I said, every aspect of what Returning Youth Initiative does is geared to restoring the humanity, restoring your mental health, your pride in yourself, your sense of self-worth. Letting someone understand, if you go, a person that goes out and has a job, provides for his family, brings home that paycheck, and is able to buy food, new shoes, school supplies, all of these things for their family. That's a powerfully uplifting experience, especially if you've not been able to do it in the past. And now you can. Now you can be that positive influence. You can be that positive role model. Your kids can look at you and say, wow, and the community can look and say, this, he might have been a bonehead. He might have made some stupid decision. He might be whatever the neighborhood, were. But now look at that. Look at that guy. He's doing, he's busting his tail. And that's what it's, that's what it's about. The community identifies it. You feel it yourself. And, and we're here to facilitate that. We're here to help you find that path, because there are so many barriers, so many obstacles in the way. And that's our, if we can provide just just a little respite, just a safe haven, a safe spot where you can come, collect, feel that you're not by yourself, understand that other people have been through this, are fighting this battle too, and what works for them, what somebody else, and that's where it is, and working as a group, that sense of community, that sense of being in it together.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the goals for the initiative for myself is just changing the mindset, and the mindset of not only the individuals that were post-incarcerated, but the mindset of just the general population. Everyone thinks of, you're a criminal, well, you've got to be this terrible person. Well, that's not necessarily the case. And people do their time, and then they come out, and they shouldn't be treated any different. So, again, that platform that we're giving them to give them their voice back is so important and just to change the just general idea of a criminal. I mean, yes, you will always have those criminals but changing the mindset of them to where hopefully they don't want to do it again. And then that trickles down to their friend that they're bringing with them to the next meeting or the next training or anything like that, so that they can see the progress that their friends making, and hopefully just is a trickle effect.
Absolutely, and there is a huge element of that. I know a lot of churches, a lot of self-help organizations do that kind of mindset as well. As you look at, and it's you become the change. People see that change in you. They don't understand it, and they want that. They see that you've overcome some of these. And maybe overcome is a strong word, but you've learned how to deal with the traumas. You've learned how to deal with these struggles, and that's attractive to people because everybody sees that. They're drawn to success. They're drawn to positivity. And if we can help someone become that in his community, then that can carry on. And we, and it just continues that momentum, and it's a powerful thing to see it unrolling, to seeing it unveiled in front of you, and it's it is wonderful, and that's the thing. The key thing with Ashley and what you and Sharon have been doing with marketing and doing all this stuff, getting the word out to folks about the amazing things that are going on, the amazing need, but the amazing things that are happening in people's lives, the amazing changes, those type of things, getting the word out to people, letting people all across the country, all across the planet see what is possible, and
the initiative is so multifaceted. I mean, it's not just one thing. There are so many things that go into the initiative and so many programs that we offer. I mean, there truly is no stone unturned when it comes to what we can do for these people.
And that is the wonderful thing about being in the position that I have the pleasure of being, where I'll talk to people and like, do you offer XYZ? Not yet, but talk to me about it. What do you need? How can we offer? What can we do to help you with that issue? And that's what we, Sharon has been doing such a great job of promoting for, and you as well, Ashley, but putting out there, have people tell us your stories, tell us the struggles that you've experienced, the obstacles that you're facing, because maybe there's something that we're not covering. Maybe there's something that an individual somewhere needs, and we can put that in and fold that into our initiative as well and provide that, because if one person's experiencing, likely there's others, and we want to hear about it. And again, this is a multifaceted, all-encompassing program. We don't want anybody to feel that left out. So that's the thing is I get people coming up to me all the time and say, hey, what about do you do credit repair? As a matter of fact, yes. Do we do? And these are things that we don't talk. We don't always talk about. But people come up to me and they'll talk to me. I'll be at street fairs and there's various things that promoting the initiative and standing around with handing out flyers and my business cards and whatever. People come, well, what do you do about this? What do you do about that? Well, that's not an issue that I've personally had come up. But let's talk about it and let's engage and let's see what we can do, how we can make that situation better for that individual. And that's the power of being hands-on, being very involved at this. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ashley and Ryan, for being part of the show today. Ryan's here all the time, but Ashley, thank you. And don't get too cozy being behind the scenes. I'm sure we're going to pull you forward a little more often. So anyway, so thank you all for joining us, and you can catch us every Friday on our social media sites, or WPAT 9:30 a.m. from 3 to 4 Eastern. And if you feel called to get involved, go to returningyouth.com. Again, that's returningyouth.com, and sign up to get more information. And you can also sign up to register to get updates and newsletters that'll let you know what's going on with the returning youth. You can sign up to volunteer so that we can continue to change what we're doing in the country. And also you can register to share your story with us. As Ryan said, we're asking people to please share your story. It's important that you share your story because we don't want others to feel alone in what they're going through. And by sharing your story, it really does help in that respect. So, and please consider donating. So returning youth can continue to expand across the country. And, you know, if you own a business, we'd love to have you as a corporate sponsorship. So, you know, Ryan, if you want to share some of your information so people can reach out to you directly if they feel called to, you know, share what they're doing to collaborate with the organization, we'll let you happily do that.
Yeah, anybody, you know, you can go to our website. There's locations there, but if you want a more personal touch, certainly email me directly at ryan@returningyouth.com, and I would love to see it. I will love to you know, communicate with you about what's going on, give you any additional information, and then we'll discuss whether, you know, if you're comfortable with that we could share some of your information. But please, you know, absolutely feel free to reach out to me directly at ryan@returningyouth.com, and we can see how we can help you and how we can help others.
Yeah, and on the aspect of volunteering, I know Ashley's been posting a lot of information out there. I mean, volunteering isn't just like, I have to be a member of the organization. If you have a skill out there that you'd like to share with us, maybe you love to write, you love to research, you know, and you're a stay-at-home mom and you feel called in some way, we take any skills. So, I mean, like, you know, I mean, and even if you're an organization that you're looking for somebody to, like, you know, you're going to have a garage sale and you want the, you know, to benefit somebody, we will happily be your beneficiary. So, you know, just don't think that anything is outside the box, because as everybody knows, when you're a nonprofit, and especially when you're in the startup stages, like, you know, this organization is right now, you know, we take any suggestions, any money, and any volunteers that we can get.
Absolutely. And if anyone wants more additional information, or you want, we'd be happy to come out and talk to your organization about what we're doing and how we can work together. So reach out to me directly on that as well. I'll be happy to come out and meet with you either by Zoom call or, coming out, meeting with you all face to face and just talking about what we can do to bring our initiative to your community, if it's not already there. And if it is, regardless, what we can do to collaborate to provide your services, our service, whatever, to make it work.
All right. Thank you all. Goodbye. Have a great weekend.